Hi, everybody. Sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties. My Zoom decided to relaunch and I had no choice but to just go with it. So I apologize for that. I am Dr. Stephanie Garcia, and I am the regional lead for the Chief Science Officers Program. I have two co-leads as well, Dr. Paula Johnson, who I see is on this call. Welcome, good morning. I hope everyone has their coffee in hand. And then I have Michelle Vega, who is also our co-regional lead. So I'm so blessed to have an amazing team of women in STEM that I get to work with. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen if my computer will let me. Zoom is acting really funny this morning. Let me try this out. I don't think it's going to let me, but let's try it anyway. Yeah, for some reason my Zoom is acting really crazy right now, but anyway, I'll go ahead and continue. The purpose for this meeting is just to kind of answer some questions you might have about our program and to try to shed some light of, how this program operates, how we can start it at your school or in your campus, as well as, if maybe you're not in a school setting, maybe you're in a community organization, a nonprofit like us, maybe you are a STEM professional and you're an expert in your field and you want to champion our students and what they're doing here locally and across Texas, because this is a Texas program. It's not just for San Antonio students. So maybe you're on the call for that. So I would love to know a little bit more about you and who's on the call. So as I kind of try to fix these little kinks in the technology here, go ahead and write in the chat box your name, your connection to education, and maybe one question that you have. Since this is a Q&A webinar, it's a little bit more informal. It's just to tell you about our program and answer questions you might have, and share with you how to get started and how to champion the program in your capacity. So if you could go ahead and write this down in the chat box, that would be great. Hi, Dr. Johnson.
Good morning. I was getting my coffee part.
Yes, coffee is very important. It's only 9:30.
Yeah, I'm late on that one today. What's wrong?
My computer, it's like all my settings in Zoom. I don't know what happened with Zoom, but it just kind of, oh, you can see it now?
I can see it.
Wonderful. I hope it works out for me here. Couldn't do my background, couldn't do anything. It's just saying no to everything today.
Oh, wow.
It's like it's protesting. There we go.
Huh. So, this is the perfect topic.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and let me see if I can pull up my chat bar so I could see what's happening in the chat room. Okay, yes, Sarah, definitely. So the question is just introduce yourself. I'd love to just know who you are, your connection to education or STEM, and then also maybe a lingering or wondering question you have about the program. Maybe you've heard about it, but you just want to know more. Now's a really great time for you to kind of ask those questions, since this is a Q&A webinar. Maybe somebody told you about it, and yeah, I just want to try to help out and explain a little bit more. While you're doing that, I'll go ahead and get started now that I think it's going to let me present. Yes, okay, great. So who we are. So IDRA is, we're a nonprofit here in San Antonio, but we're a national nonprofit. We do work across the United States in the area of educational equity. And so, we started a very long time ago, before I was even born. And, I love the mission of our organization to ensure educational opportunity for every child. We have a broad way of doing that. We really hit it from all sides, from educational practice, policy, community engagement, family engagement. We have technical assistance that we provide to schools everywhere. We have a lot of our equity assistance work with IDRA EX South. And we have all these frameworks for action that we help train teachers on and administrators on. And so it's a powerful organization, and we are the leaders of the Texas Chief Science Officer program. You can learn more about our organization on our website, which is right here with our fun picture of our staff. And then here, as I was saying earlier, I have the privilege of working with an amazing women in STEM team. So Dr. Johnson's on the call with us. We have Michelle Vega, and all three of us, we really cover all 4 areas of STEM. Myself, I'm a former middle school science teacher, and I worked at the university level training future teachers on how to teach science in elementary settings in ways that are inclusive and inquiry-based. And then I did a lot of research with our education and College of Engineering at our university campus. And so we were embedded education experts coming in, helping to transform our engineering courses so that they were more culturally responsive. And so that's a little bit of my background. I kind of cover science and engineering. Paula, you want to go ahead and jump in and introduce yourself?
Sure. I am Dr. Paula Johnson, and I am a math educator. I've been in education for 26 years. Almost the last 10 have been at IDRA as an equity specialist and math specialist. And about a year and a half ago, I became the director of the IDRA EAC South. That's EAC South. I put the link in the chat box. And that is a technical assistance center that is a grant from the Department of Education, where we provide technical assistance and guidance, coaching, resources to states in the southern region, which is about, it's 11 states plus the District of Columbia. And it ranges across areas of equity or inequity, from teacher training to development of plans of action for to address disproportional school discipline, to advancing STEM agendas for girls and underserved populations. So we do quite a bit of work. That's the main area of my work, but that work is very broad and in a broad region. So women in our STEM team is not just local, but national.
Yes, absolutely. And Michelle Vega, she has many, many years of doing training on implementing technology and leveraging technology in the classroom setting. She's a wonderful tech queen. And so we are very blessed to have her as well doing this work. Like I said, we help direct the program here in Texas, and I'll go on a little bit more about the program, but what IDRA brings to this program is really this equity lens of this work. So if you look at STEM historically, we know that many students benefit from having access to these learning opportunities, having a program that it creates a sense of belonging for them, where they can see themselves in STEM, where they can develop their own STEM identity. But we know that there are many STEM inequities that we face, lots of barriers as students progress through this STEM pipeline, right, from elementary all the way to graduate school. And so, we definitely want to ensure that we acknowledge that, and we pave a way for students to have access and opportunity, that they have access to college preparatory classes, that we make sure that we elevate their voice, that we see them as leaders in their families, and we recognize their cultural identity and the strengths that they bring to the table, and we just leverage that through this program. In Texas, I see, Sarah, you're in Galveston. I didn't see who else in the chat box where you're from, but here in Texas, we have House Bill 5, which looks at an endorsement, right? And so students in 8th grade in Texas choose and endorse what kind of pathway they're going to go on in high school. And so there's the STEM endorsement, but looking at TEA, the Texas Education Agency, looking at some of our data, not many students are choosing that pathway. Not enough students are choosing that pathway. And that's a big deal. When you think about who's going to be filling these STEM careers and who is going to be in that workforce. And then when you think about also what kind of courses come along with the STEM endorsement. It's all of the rigorous higher level math and science coursework that you need to be college ready. And so it's really the only endorsement that has such high school program and degree program and coursework. And so we are really big proponents of trying to push this up to increase this level here, because we're really not there yet as far as enrollment and how many students are graduating with the with the STEM endorsement as well. And I think about, I'll never forget it, we had our end of year showcase and we have a senior, Sella from Harlandale ISD, and she said, I just want to tell all the middle schoolers that the STEM endorsement is possible. She goes, I took so many hard classes, math and science classes, and I was involved in so many things, but I did it, and she took a ton of AP exams as well. And she's just right on track to, having a really great college experience where she could most likely graduate in 4 or less, right? So that's the goal. And we want to make sure they're college bound and they're set up for success for that, if that's the direction they choose. We want to make sure we promote and advance policies and practices. So students have access. We want to encourage community over competition. I'll talk about our program and how it's not an event, a one-time event. It's not a summer camp. It's not a competition. And so I'm really excited to share with you more about that. But one of our main tenets is to amplify and elevate student voice. And, think about at your schools, are there enough opportunities for that? And what does that look like in STEM? There might be like a leadership council or student council, but what does that look like in STEM at your campus? And so I want you to think about that question as I briefly go over our program. So as I said, the CSO program is an international program. So there are chief science officers in Kuwait and Kenya, and there's a new cohort in Mexico and Chihuahua, Mexico, Sonora, Mexico. There are chief science officers everywhere. Typically, they're 6th through 12th graders who serve as STEM ambassadors in their school and community. And these are the program goals. And so you can see that it's more than just like a club, right? This is creating a pipeline of diverse leaders. We help foster communication and collaboration among all the chief science officers at the campus level, all the way to the engagement with the international cohort of chief science officers. Chief science officers enrich a school STEM culture and career awareness. So especially our 8th graders here in San Antonio, they're really sharing with their peers more information about the STEM endorsement so that they can have enough knowledge to make that decision too, because sometimes there's not enough information about what this even means that I'm checking off on this choice sheet, right? So they're really good at making sure that they're aware of these policies that impact their educational experiences moving forward. And as I said earlier, amplifying student voice and STEM conversations in the community. So we're a big proponent of civic engagement and teaching students like what that means, and then how they can get more involved in the community, how their voice can be heard with policies that impact them and their future, as they are their future generation, right? So we started last year in 2019, and we have grown. We started with 36 chief science officers in San Antonio, Texas, and now we're in San Antonio, Houston, and we're growing to El Paso and the Rio Grande Valley. So I'm really excited. If I saw Galveston, Sarah in the chat box, we can grow and make this program available at your schools this fall. So it's not too late. This is something that we can start. And we definitely want to grow across Texas. So if you know of anybody that you want to share this information with, this will be recorded and we can make sure we give you the link. So these are our chief science officers. We have started actually an elementary school here in San Antonio just to kind of pilot it and see how it goes. And it's going really well. And so we definitely want to continue. We know that preparation in STEM and creating these opportunities, it starts early on in elementary school. And so we want to make sure that we continue that. So even if you have 4th or 5th graders, we can adapt the program for that younger age as well. So you can see our students here in the bottom right. These are our alumni. Lexus and Kelly are students who are now alumni of the Chief Science Officers Program. And them, along with Dr. Rudy Reyna, their leadership, they started the program here in Texas. It's been going on since 2015. It's an NSF-funded opportunity. And so those students there, as well as Dr. Rudy Reyna, they brought the program and started it here last year in Texas. So we're really grateful for that. I want to go ahead and skip along to some questions and some kind of like how to get started, since I see in the chat box, Sarah, you wanted to know a little bit more about what it looks like. Well, a little about our program and our curriculum that we use. It's very centered on teamwork, students leading STEM presentations. So we prepare them to lead what we call STEM demonstrations. And so they'll go back to their campus and teach science concepts to their peers, or they'll mentor the younger grade levels, like below them, and they'll teach STEM concepts through different presentations. Students will create an action plan, at least one per school year, and that action plan is to kind of meet a need, whatever the need is at their campus. And so they're very strategic in how they plan that. They come together and collaborate as a team. And chief science officers might recruit other clubs to work with them on it. Or they might do a solo action plan, like, hey, I really want to lead a hackathon. This is an event I really want to lead in my community, and I already kind of know who to connect with to make this happen. So action plans could be individual or collective. They usually are collective. We see our students bonding so much across all grade levels. They're creating a new network of friends and students who are also interested and passionate about STEM. And networking. Our students learn through different opportunities at our Leadership Training Institute. They learn how to give a proper handshake and how to look someone in the eye, and how to carry themselves and introduce themselves to others. And that's a really great soft skill that's really hard, actually, right? And that's needed for our future generation and workforce ready skills, right? As well as public relations and public speaking and writing. A lot of our students write blogs about their experiences. So they're engaged in writing and speaking. And those are skills that are needed academically, as well as, workforce ready skills as well. Looking at action plan, once again, that's the main center of what we're doing. In order to enrich a STEM culture in your school and community, what actions are you going to carry out this year, right? And so that's the whole purpose of this program, is to really build those capacities. When you think about the most in-demand soft skills, they are the following. And all of these skills are all part of the program. We make sure that we develop these, that we help students have opportunities to refine these skills. And they start off sometimes really shy and not wanting to speak up. And then by the end of the school year, they're up on stage and they're sharing their action plan and the kind of impact that they made in their school and community. And it's just really amazing to see as they return the following year, because students can level up in the program, and I'll share that in a moment. You can see the growth in our students. It's just really remarkable. It's my favorite thing, actually. The STEM network is really what carries this program. The success of our students in this program is really built upon the support of our Alamo STEM ecosystem. We have a whole network of community and careers and partners in higher education who really are invested in our chief science officers, who want to help them along the way, mentor them, give them experiences in what a certain career field is like, or what a university life is like. And so it's really incredible to see this whole wraparound of our community to really help and promote our students in STEM. It's just really incredible. And we want to start that and leverage that in your own communities. So if you're in a new city that we're not in yet, we want to work with you to develop those partnerships and networking, because that's been very successful and meaningful for our students in the program. Once again, workforce, just kind of driving in the need for this program. It's making sure our students are able to fulfill all the available STEM jobs in our communities, and realizing that it's very, prominent that, students of color are not represented in these STEM fields, right? And so making sure to make that change, making sure that this program is open up to schools and different communities to make sure that they have access to these same opportunities, and we can start to see a change in that, in the diversity in STEM fields, and supporting them even after the program, even after students graduate. We have an alumni program where we keep them connected, we keep mentoring them, and we connect them to internships and different opportunities and scholarships, to make sure that they persist, and they have everything that they need to persist in the STEM career fields. As you can see here, that our students are growing through this program. They're getting more experience and connection with STEM, the community, the awareness of career fields, and they get, they're inspiring other students as well. So it's just really remarkable to see this transformation. I think I already covered this slide. So what does it look like at the campus level? That's something I want to briefly talk about, and then I'll go ahead and start to transition for you all to start asking any specific questions. Paula, let me know if I miss anything in the chat box because I can't see it right now. But looking at the campus level, we have a cohort of students who at your school, whether, let's say it's middle school, right, in Galveston, Sarah. So maybe your middle schoolers, you find 2 students, a male and a female. We want to make sure there's representation when we're looking at gender equity in STEM as well. We want to make sure that at least 2 students are joining the program. Now you might have 12 students who are really interested in the program, but we want at least 2 to 4 who could be considered like our leads that we can train, and then they can go back and do the train the trainer approach where they train their peers about what it means to be a CSO, and then we'll go to your campus and do additional training and support as well. But we definitely can adapt it to whatever the needs are as far as like what the size looks like. We have seen that, groups of about 4 CSOs at campuses are really helpful, especially when they have really big action plans they want to implement at the school or in the community level. They need each other to support and to make that happen, delegate tasks and things like that. And then sometimes there's a lot of mobility that happens during the school year. So you want to make sure you have enough CSOs to maintain throughout the program. As well, at the campus level, we need an advisor. So that would be a teacher sponsored typically. So a teacher that shares this passion of, increasing opportunities for students in STEM, and, helping to enrich this STEM culture at their level and their capacity as a teacher, just as passionate as students are, right? So we need at least one teacher that can help kind of, you're at the campus level and we're not. So we need somebody to kind of work with our students, meet with them every other week, check in on them. How are you doing with your action plan? And we have a whole curriculum guide coming up this year to help you throughout the school year in those meetings. So you're not like, I don't know what to talk about, or I don't really know how to support them. We have training for advisors just as well as we do for students. So, as I mentioned earlier, we have a leadership training institute in the beginning of the school year. And that's where we train our students about like what it means to be a CSO, how to create an action plan, things like that. But we also have separate training just for advisors. So we can make sure you're in the know and you're trained as well about what this program means and how you can support and advocate for your students at your campus level. And then families. Families are also part of this campus cohort. Our family members are so incredible. They're coming to our trainings. They have their own breakout sessions to attend so they can learn, more about how to support their students in STEM. And that just happened by talking with a lot of our family members of our students. They say, wow, I see my son is really interested in STEM, but I don't really know how to support them. That's not something that, I was really interested in as a kid maybe, and I really want to know how I can better support them. And so we have these really great opportunities where we can help, support families so they can support their children as well. And it's really great to see them at the events with their kids and really cheering them on at everything. And so, this is kind of what it looks like at the campus level. And we can start small and then grow bigger each year. It's whatever you feel comfortable with as an advisor, as the lead at your campus. leadership levels. So this isn't like a one-time event. Like I said, it's not a competition, it's not a club. It's really a year-long program that students are enrolled in. And they start as a level 1 chief science officer. And so a lot of their impact is more at the school level. They're learning about what it means to be a STEM ambassador. They attend events, things like that. The next year they return. Now they're a level 2 chief science officer if they completed the first year. So now their action plans are turning to be more centered around civic engagement. They're doing things more at a city level. They're communicating what it means to be a STEM leader, what STEM career fields there are and opportunities there are in STEM. They're supporting action plans of other students. They're mentoring. It's really, really great to see them come back a second year and to see how they start to progress, right? And then level 3 chief science officer, now they're like, wow, I want to help spread this program across the state. I want to help teach new CSOs at other schools and cities, right? They start to maybe have more of an impact at a state level. They're teaching, they're leading, and then lastly, nationally, they start to join maybe the leadership council of the International Chief Science Officer program, where they're working and collaborating on projects with CSOs from other parts of the world, right? So they're getting even more involved. They're taking that trip to DC to talk to our leaders about STEM policies that are important to them. They're advocating for STEM, they're advocating for change, and they're really helping to plan these events. Right now, because we just finished our year 1, a lot of our leads, we're taking the weight of leading these events. But eventually, as we have students that are now level 3, level 4, we're going to have our students planning these events and leading these events. So you won't see me on stage leading at these trainings or cabinet meetings. You'll see students up there and facilitating all of this. And that is the goal. And just like when you start the program year 1, you're going to be selecting students, right? Because it's your first year. But the idea of the program is to then have later on in year 2 of implementation, you have student peer elections, kind of like student council, but differently. And we have all these parameters for elections to help support that at your campus level. But the idea is for peers to elect new peers to serve as chief science officers at the campus. We have a website I can show you in a minute, but I'll go ahead and go to the Wakelet page. And if there are any questions, let's see here. Crystal, wow, all parts of Texas, Victoria, Texas. Where is Bloomington, Crystal? Can you unmute yourself? Where's Bloomington, Texas at?
It's about 10 minutes outside of Victoria, going towards the water.
Awesome.
So it's a real small community. There's about 850 in the district, 250 in elementary, and about 210 in middle school.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I want to pause because I probably just said so much so fast. And so I want to allow you this is a Q&A webinar. So I want to allow you all to just unmute yourself and ask any questions. Maybe I can go back to the slideshow and readdress something that I went over too quickly. Anybody have a question where I can kind of stop and reply to anything?
Yeah, I have a question. This is Sarah Skeen. So when I select students and they agree to be part of this program, what are the expectations for them? Like, what do they have to participate in and be involved in, and logistics with that?
Absolutely. So each of our students, our chief science officers, will go through a leadership training institute. So there are 3 meetings that they have to attend each school year. So the first one is a training. It's a beginning of the year event. Typically, we have it in September. Now, due to COVID-19 and all the changes, we're all wondering what this is going to look like. Our venue actually canceled. They're not doing any external events. So now we're very much considering just a completely virtual training. So over the summer, we'll have more information to provide on that. I'm sure everybody's wondering, even schools are still deciding, right, like what to do in the fall and the beginning of the year. But the leadership training is key. That's the first event. During that event, They'll learn more about the program. They'll learn about the requirements of being a CSO, developing at least one action plan, one project that might take the whole year, or it might just take a semester. And so we kind of help support them in what ideas. They create a vision of how they see STEM in their communities and school. And then we help just kind of get them through strategic planning opportunities to create this action plan. And they can collaborate with their peers at their campus level, or they can do one solo, or they can do one by themselves, and they can do another one with their cohort of CSOs at their campus. So that's one main event. The second event is the cabinet meeting. So they need to attend either the fall or the spring cabinet meeting. And that's a really great check-in to see, hey, how are you doing on your action plans? If it failed, that's okay. You failed forward. Mistakes are proof that you're trying, right? Like, let's go ahead and revamp and come up and refresh with a new idea. If the first one didn't work out, that's okay. You know, and then we collaborate on new projects and opportunities mid-year and throughout the school year. There are a ton of events and opportunities for our chief science officers to lead at. So we'll get invited to different events across the state, and they'll ask for our chief science officers, because of the reputation they have, they'll ask for them to come lead an event or come speak at an event or come mentor these students, elementary students. And so there's really great opportunities throughout the year to keep them engaged. And then at the end of the year, we have a showcase where they share what project they did this year, what their action plan was, what the impact was, and then kind of report out to everybody else about what kind of difference it made at their school and community level, as well as in themselves, what they learned about themselves throughout the year. So that's a really quick snapshot of what it looks out like throughout the school year. Throughout the school year, you're meeting with your CSOs at your campus level every other week, just checking in. We use Google Classroom as our learning management system. So all of our reports get submitted through there. Any really fun STEM learning activities will be posted through there, as well as digital badging opportunities where they're really engaged and connected to STEM learning as well throughout the school year. And so all those opportunities will be via, their Google Classroom system that they have as the chief science officer. And so those are things that they're connected in throughout the school year. I hope that answers your question.
Partially, I guess I need to clarify. So the students in Galveston, they're low income, and a lot of them don't leave the island, and they don't have, the means or the ways to get places. So how does that look for them?
Right. No, that's a great point. Many times, like for example, in El Paso, we're starting in El Paso. That's a different time zone for us here in San Antonio.
Yes.
I typically would travel there. Right now, much of our travel has stopped. So I see the beginning of our school year, everything happening virtually, us leading our trainings virtually, so we can get connected with you at your campus. If you guys are at school face-to-face physically, you guys can set us up on a projector on a Zoom, and we will facilitate the whole training via Zoom or via whatever platform works for us. I just learned about PowerPoint Live the other day, so now I'm considering using some other technology tools for our platforms for these trainings. But that's initially how we're seeing, because of our travel being canceled right now. That's how I'm seeing us getting started. Our cabinet meeting in the fall might be virtual as well. But we're hoping that we can end together at least, or have a spring cabinet meeting together. Each school year, I will go to each campus. I will physically show up if I can. If I can, I'll do it virtually, to do what they call a site visit, which is just me coming to your campus to meet your CSOs, to work with them on their action plans, to maybe help refine any access issues to the learning management system on Google Classroom, maybe additional training that I would need to provide. Those are things that I would do at the campus visit. And there's at least one of those per school year too. So, as far as access, I think we've learned through this time, it's pushed all of us to learn how to navigate through Zoom and Google Classroom and other platforms online so that we can stay connected. And I think those are the same things that we're going to end up doing this fall, and just manage our trainings and our cabinet meetings virtually for at least the rest of this school year, or this year. So yeah, so we can still do that. Do you know, Sarah, if you guys are talking about going to school or continuing remote or distance learning in the fall semester?
Yeah, a lot of different things have been discussed, but
Yeah.
I'm hoping for a hybrid model
Yeah.
of part-time
Yeah.
coming to campus and then virtual learning at home.
Yeah.
So that's my hope, because I need to see my kids
I know.
and they need to be in the lab.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
science is kind of hard when you're, staring at a computer all
Yes,
the
it is.
time. Yeah.
It is. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's, I can only imagine. I mean, we've been doing a lot of, as IDRA, we've been doing weekly webinars to help train teachers on how to use Google Classroom, or, how to use Padlet or Flipgrid and different things to help keep students engaged, online, because it is rough. It's tough. And we don't really know what the fall looks like, so it's a little hard to have these discussions maybe right now, but it's important to start them right now, because we can start to plan together on what it looks like at your school and what makes sense. We just want to do this with you. And so we'll work with you to make this happen, and whatever it looks like. We just want to make sure, we get started. If your students are interested in leading in this type of program, we want to make sure that we can make it happen for you this fall. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I got a couple kids in mind, so
Wonderful.
I want to ramp up the rigor here. We've kind of, we've been in F school and we're trying to climb out of that hole. And I think this would be a good program to, get these kids more engaged, just start small and grow.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's totally doable to start the school year. I'm very excited about the opportunity to work with you on that. We can definitely, I can put my, I don't know if my email is on here. Let me go ahead and write my email in the chat box. If you all want to have individual conversations, either immediately following this webinar or at a better time for you, feel free to email me and we can set up a Zoom with just you and I, and we can discuss kind of the ins and outs of how we want to start and really tailor it for your school and your needs for this fall. Definitely. Crystal, did you want to say something? I see you unmuted.
Oh, no, I was just listening, taking it all in.
Okay. What about you, Carl? Did you have any questions or anything you're curious about that I can help with?
No, the program, I mean, I'm sorry, everybody wants to stop by the office on Friday.
Oh, cool.
So if different people want to, that's why my camera's off, because I'm running around like a kid with ADD and no medicine. But listening, and the stuff sounds wonderful. And I made that comment about GT, not that it's equally equates to STEM, but just that when you mention a project and year-long project, it just sounds so similar to TPSP and all that kind of, stuff for them to really dive into.
Yeah.
I just, I would be interested in just, reading over some materials and finding out, what the depth is of all this stuff, and then share it with my 4th and 5th grade science teachers, so that they can see that, little lights can go off in their head that it's, I have this kid in mind and that kid in mind. And that kind of, we have we're a really small school, but we have a tremendous amount of after-school clubs, because we try to give our kids enriching experiences, because they don't have anything out when they leave the school. They don't have much, I should say. So it just would be like another opportunity for them to have like a STEM club, to have an activity that really means something to them. And I absolutely love what you say about inviting the parents.
Oh, yeah.
To get involved. That's for us, is like, it's been on our CIP for last year, and it's going to be on there this year, just getting the parents involved in their child's education.
It's been beautiful to see, even our parents, thank you, Carl, to see our parents leading at local events to share. For example, at IDRA, we have an annual parent summit, like a parent institute. And some of our chief science officer parents will go and talk to other parents about how to support their child in STEM and what opportunities there are in STEM. So it's so cool to see even not just the transformation with our students, but with parents who are a little bit more shy and, they're there, the cheerleader, but then they're up there on stage leading and training other parents. It's been so cool. It's been so cool to see all of this progress. And I shared in the chat box the link to our website. This is IDRA Chief Science Officer landing page. And the reason why I did that was because we have a printable brochure right here. It says PDF. And when you click on that, you can just go ahead and print this or email it, which would probably be better because we're all working remotely. But you can simply download this flyer and send it to your staff and see who's wanting to serve as an advisor this school year. It's really important, I can't stress it enough, to have an advisor that wants to do this, not voluntold to do this. We want our advisors invested in this and in our students, and we can train the advisors so that they feel comfortable doing so. And so there's really great information here. Pretty much everything on the slideshow is here, as well as our social media links as well, so you can see our activities online. The website's another great resource because our chief science officers are leading in different webinars and podcasts. So we have a lot of content on here. We have our students, here we go. We just had a press release this week, actually, where we had a panel of 3 chief science officers, and all of our girls were sharing, how they've been able to get creative and promote STEM, even while their schools and communities are closed. So that's a really great, they actually made it into a podcast as well. So you definitely want to check out that press release because it'll have links to all of the multimedia content, and you can just push play while you're working in your office or at your home. Really great things to tune into. We have some news articles where students are writing about the impact they're making in their school. Our local media has covered that. And so these are things that can start to happen at your school and your communities. Where we can help support that, and we can create content like this with your students, and we can, get the news media involved and really bring everybody together to elevate and amplify student voice in your schools and communities. So that's all about the program here. I wanted to make sure that you saw that. I'm also going to drop the link to our end of year showcase. We had to adapt. We made our end of year ceremony virtual, which I was terrified about at first, but it went really well. This is our end of year showcase. I put it in the chat box for you to have later. And we used Wakelet. Wakelet ended up being so cool. It's like a landing page, almost like a collaborative website that everybody can contribute to. And we housed all of the videos our students have made. They did like end of year videos to kind of share what their journey was like this year, what impact they made, what they learned about themselves. You have to see Ian's STEM rap video. You're never going to be the same after seeing that. And then you'll see little clips that IDRA has linked to our YouTube page as well. So you'll see our students leading at different events. We had a global STEM ecosystem convening here in San Antonio, and 2 of our chief science officers were a part of a student panel where they really called for action. They were up there saying that they need change, that technology has advanced so much, but we're not really catching up as far as education in STEM and what that looks like. It's just really remarkable. You'll see our leadership council meetings, our leadership training institute. You'll see all of this content begin to load. It's almost 1,000 different pieces of content on this website. So it's more than enough for you to kind of chew on. But you really see them in action, and that's what I wanted to show all of you, as well as our Flipgrid platform. Those of you who are teachers, Sarah, I don't know if you heard about Flipgrid, but it's amazing. And
yeah, we're using it.
Oh yeah, it's wonderful.
The kids are it's interesting because they're middle schoolers and they love to talk and they love to show off, but as soon as you ask them to make a video, they're like, oh, I can't do that.
I hear you. Some of ours didn't show their face. They did emojis instead, right? And they'll do their audio maybe, but not their face. It's funny how they get camera shy, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so our students made some fun videos that we try to capture here. And it's a great way for students to do experiments at home and record themselves. It's just wonderful. So I wanted to share these resources so that you can, stay kind of in tune with what we're doing and what it looks like. And you can start to envision about what it could look like at your schools and communities. I would love to, further this conversation. I mean, if you wouldn't mind, you registered for the webinar, I presume, so I'll have your email and I can connect with you after this and, follow up and see if we can set up a time to just discuss, how to get started this school year. If you're not there yet and you need to kind of gather a team to get behind you on it, that's cool too. I can, but I'll still connect with you to make sure, I'm here and I can help you get started and support the program getting started this year, this next school year. I'm really excited about it, even though, we've had a lot of challenges lately. It's so remarkable to see our students still innovating and creating, and that's what we want to put on the platform, and we really want to give students more opportunities and ideas and ways to do that. So even if it's a hybrid format or we're still distance learning, there's many ways they can still, lead and get involved as a chief science officer next school year. So anything you want to add, Dr. Johnson? I'm going to drink my coffee. I didn't get to drink enough of it.
No, I just want to say again, thank you all for joining us today, and we would be happy to answer any questions that you have about the program. Moving forward, we know that there will be changes. We're already looking at how our Leadership Training Institute, or LTI, in the fall will look in these uncertain times as far as schools opening at all, and then also venues. And so the one great thing about, one of the great things about our chief science officers are their ability to be very creative and innovative, and we listen to them. They definitely, that's the whole point, is that we have our cabinet who then help plan trainings with us. So it's really about leadership in STEM education. And I wanted to circle back real quick to the comment that I put in the chat box about, in response to Carl's statement or question, the purpose of our program that we've seen on an international scale is that coming from STEM backgrounds, I'm a computer science math person, coming from even a historically Black college, we have a tendency to focus on students that are already in advanced programs. Like I was in GT and AP and, did the whole magnet school and all of those things. One of my sons is in a STEM academy now. But I had to be very careful. He's going into 8th grade. I had to ask him, what are your interests? Just because he's GT, I didn't want to force my STEM on him. But that's what he wants. He wants to be an engineer. And so that's wonderful. And then, our next step would be, does he go to the early college high school or does he go to the STEM academy? And I had to explain the differences because we have, the district has promoted our early college high school to the degree that that's where everyone thinks is the natural path. But those are just they're very rigorous courses, and he'll get a great education there, but it will not serve to give him opportunities like the Chief Science Officers program at the STEM Academy, where he'll learn more about technology and computer science and engineering and science to see if that's really where he wants to go. So that's kind of where we want to see our CSOs. And I think we have I won't say we're the only group that does this, but I know the Texas Chief Science Officers, we're trying to pull students in who may not even know what STEM really is. Yeah. Because we want to be sure that we are capturing all the potential talent. And so it's again, like our organizational purpose is to serve students who are underserved. And so that's when you start thinking about your students, being in the Chief Science Officers program and we have another student leadership program, we find that it totally changes the dynamic for the student, for the school, for the students, the schools, the families, and therefore the communities. So speaking about the schools in Galveston that I think Sarah had mentioned, this is one of those programs that provides students with an opportunity to stand up and stand out and feel like they do have a voice and see that their accomplishments and contributions truly do help their community, and they see a different future, which would not have happened had they not been part of something like this. So those are just, I want to make sure you understand our passion for all students and being inclusive of students from communities who traditionally are not included in this conversation. So it doesn't mean to purposely choose students who are not in advanced courses already. But again, our premise is that you would have, like you mentioned, an after school program would be fabulous.
Oh, yeah.
To have 25 multiple grade level students. Usually it is higher end of, like the very highest end of elementary, but then in middle school and high school. But you have this group of students. From that pool, you would elect 2 to 4 students to represent in the cabinet. But imagine the just the impact that those students can have coming from a variety of sectors. So that's just something that we want to make sure that we're clear about in our vision, and our goal is to increase diversity among STEM, as well as give students opportunities to help them solidify their understanding of STEM and put them on a path in that trajectory towards pursuing STEM as a career.
Yeah, and I want to, you brought something to mind as far as what it could look like and where it could start. To give you a little bit of a preview, let me see, I'm still sharing my screen, right? I think we have, okay, so CSO Julissa. So CSO Julissa and her fellow CSOs, Damien and Emily, you'll see their videos on here as well. You know, they are middle schoolers in an after school program, just as Dr. Johnson mentioned. So they started a cohort. They probably started with maybe 8 chief science officers. And then they quickly realized, okay, there's more like 3 to 4 that are really interested in this and really want to lead. We found that some of our advisors, the first year we're selecting students who were already in everything, right? They're the student council president, they're the volleyball team captain, they're, you know, this and that and the other. And they realized that, you know, maybe that wasn't necessarily a good idea, right? Because we want to make sure that we're including students in opportunities that, you know, aren't already leading in those other capacities. Sometimes our students, you know, are still wanting to be involved, but not necessarily the lead CSO at their school, right? Or in their after school program or in their STEM club. Let's see, I think Reagan's here. Yeah, Reagan, CSO Reagan, she's also a middle schooler. And their plan at their school, their brand new STEM academy. And what they want to do is have a chief science officer in each of their STEM related clubs. So she's the aquaponics club like president, and she's our chief science officer. And then they have a cybersecurity one that her cousin Owen is in. He became a chief science officer. So they want like a representative, at least a CSO in each STEM related club. And they come together and do these action plans together. So it's really neat to see it kind of take its own shape and form. You know, it's really, really neat. And you'll find out kind of what your niche is at your school and what makes sense to at least start with, you know, start small, and then we'll see kind of how to grow moving forward. Another example is we had a high school of like 28 chief science officers start, and that was huge, and it was not really manageable for the advisor. They started really big, and it was probably too big, and so they quickly realized, let's start small and really set a strong foundation, and then we'll go ahead and grow it a little bit more if we want. We have another middle school. They have 4 chief science officers, and they're from different grades in the middle school level. But they have their CSO, they call them assists. So they may not be the lead CSOs that go to the trainings, but they're very much, they call themselves chief science officers. They're representing and helping and facilitate different events for the CSOs. And so they're supporting, they're playing a very important supportive role for the program. And they're very interested in the program. But maybe they don't have the time to be like a lead chief science officer, right? So there's different, you'll start to see all the dynamics as it starts to play out at your school, and you find out kind of what's going to work. So I can talk to you about that for days, because each campus has its own little culture and spin on it of how they've, been able to start and keep it going. Especially as you start to see in year 2 returning CSOs, who want to continue to lead, and then you have brand new incoming students at the school that want to join. So it starts to get big, and it starts to get really fun to see all those minds come together and innovate some and meet some really cool needs in their school and community. I want to give a chance. I see some other people. I don't know if Jeanette or Anthony, if you wanted to introduce yourself or ask any questions. This is a Q&A webinar, so I want to make sure I'm not, talking the whole time. I want to give you guys an opportunity to share out any questions or comments. You can unmute yourself if you'd like, or if you're busy right now, you can put something in the chat box and we'll come back to it if you'd like. Cool. Anything else? Let's see.
Dr. Garcia.
Yes. Hi, Anthony.
Good morning, ma'am. Top of the morning.
Top of the morning to you.
I apologize for that. I should have said good morning, but I have that top of the morning in me. But
that's all right.
Quick question, or maybe question, observation, or maybe in both. It's interwoven, and this may not be at the right time, and maybe you and I can have a one-on-one conversation on this, but I love what you're doing. I see it. I'm not a STEM person myself, so some of it is kind of above my head, but I truly will pass this forward for sure. But I have more of the lens of a racial equity lens. Mm-hmm. Now, but watch where I'm going with this, because this is where I need you to guide me. I love from what I've gathered from IDRA, their focus, their vision, their mission, okay? But I'm more for how, not necessarily STEM, but how to incorporate, or does IDRA take the lead in experts training or talking to, maybe speaking to topics of internal-external partnerships with communities, with parents, when it comes to racial equity, educational equity, socioeconomics equity, and how to recognize that and how to address that, or how to make that equitable in a smaller to a larger scale of when you consider the years and years of unfortunate that hasn't been equitable. But I'm sure this is not the time, but if you can guide me in that, does IDRA take the lead in that? Do they offer these type of webinars or Zooms? I'd like more information in that to be able to build more of a file for myself and my office to be able to see more of this or get more exposure. And specifically for when you're, a couple of topics: immigration, ELL learner, for sure, African American, but topics that encompass those arenas, if I may use that word, to make it equitable outside of STEM. STEM is very important. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. And even in STEM, there needs to be some equity built into it for sure. But I'm looking from another lens, so I'll stop talking there. And if you can guide me with that, or if you and I, or if there's a way I can make contact with you to get more specificity, but I'd love to see if what IDRA offers or leads in those areas of equity outside of STEM.
Yeah.
Hopefully
No, you're right on. You're right on, Anthony. And I see Paula, Dr. Johnson in the back, like, please, please, please let me answer him.
Sir Anthony, the reason you see that look on my face is because you are in the right place.
Really?
I don't know if you were on when I was introducing myself, but I'm the director of our Equity Assistance Center. We have held a grant from the Department of Education since 1975 to help schools that were going through desegregation processes, which we are still doing today around race, gender, national origin, and religion, which includes English language learners. We look at socioeconomic status. We look at our policy team works on fair funding, equitable funding for schools, and we work nationally in these areas. Now for the Equity Assistance Center, which we call the IDRA EAC South. And the link to both, the link for IDRA and the EAC South are in the chat box if you scroll up. That is our goal. That's what we do as an organization. Outside of the EAC, we happen to have a grant, but that is the purpose of the organization. We talk about migrant families and giving them support. We talk about unincorporated areas in South Texas. If you know the Rio Grande Valley, we work with Far San Juan Alamo. We have an education cafe down there at Arise that is a family and community advocacy organization to work towards educational equity for their students. So STEM is a piece of what we do. The Chief Science Officers is a program that we decided to partner on as an organization and support here in Texas. And then we will begin hopefully broadening across our region in states where it's not already established. However, our work around research and education, educational evaluation, policy advocacy, family engagement and community engagement, and educational practice, all of those pieces are in work in tandem specifically to address issues of equity. So a lot of the work that we do is coupled with all of like just every facet where inequity is currently occurring, which is across every part of education, we do address. And so even through STEM, which is what I had said just a while ago, is that we are looking to serve those students who are most neglected in STEM. But that's part of our broader scope of work that deals with disproportional and exclusionary school discipline. So like when I go do training as an EAC staff, when I go do training like that, I'm automatically talking about student behavior, school discipline, and what type of academic program are your students in? Like, so we look at data. I mean, so all of our pieces are so interconnected, but it's all about educational equity. And then for Chief Science Officers, it happens to be for STEM. But our main goal is educational equity, period.
Yeah.
And then you can say with family engagement for English learners, for migrant students, for students in poverty, students in at-risk situations. So that is what we do. That is who we are as an organization, is all about educational equity.
Yeah. We need to connect with you more, Anthony. I think there's some really great opportunities for us to collaborate with you and in your role at your district too.
And we do provide training in those areas. So
okay, now will you guys send out I'm going to use the word newsletter, but
yes, we do.
Where you guys will have a webinar or something that we can log into, or for the people who are interested in such topics?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
we have weekly.
I'd like to really get in that angle and see what your experts are saying or addressing or bringing equity into and it's three categories for me: is racial, educational, and socioeconomics.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you go to Anthony, our website, idra.org, I'm trying to move my chat box and move everybody's beautiful faces to the right so I can, okay, here it is. I can see it now. So once you go to our website, idra.org, you click the little full menu bar and you'll see Learning Goes On COVID-19 resources. So we have a ton of resources on our website, but I'm going to start here because as you mentioned, we have like weekly updates that we can send out to you guys. Once you click on that tab, you'll see all of our weekly updates that we started, 12 or 13 weeks ago. I feel like we've been doing this. We've been in this situation for quite a while, but we have our e-news that you can sign up for. It's offered in English and Spanish.
All right.
And then you can see each week we have all of our content. You can sign up to receive email updates.
Okay.
So you don't have to go to the website each time. You can sign up here. And then also toward the bottom, you have some resources and research in English and Spanish. We have our policy team that's keeping everybody informed on a weekly basis, looking at CARES Act and some other different actions that have come about. And then we have our webinar series. And so we have we have a webinar hub where you can watch all of our previous webinars on the digital divide, on equitable teaching for online practices, kind of best practices. Our STEM team, we've done a lot of work looking at teaching math and science online. What are some interactive ways you can do that, as well as ELAR. So there are tons of opportunities for you to share these for free. I mean, you can just share these links with your colleagues and with your schools. So we even have certificates if you reach out to us, where teachers can earn certificates for these different equity webinars. So feel free to, sign up for the e-news, share these resources however you'd like. And if you ever need anything tailored more for your school or more in depth, you can reach out to us and we can set up some trainings for your whole district.
Just one more quick question or comment, then I'll get off. And I don't want to, because I'm sure the others have questions about STEM, and I've changed the topic here. How about SEL?
Yes, we've been doing a lot of that work as well. Looking at the webinars we've done recently, I don't know off the top of my head if I know we had a couple in works.
You can use the search bar within the website to look up.
Type in SEL. Okay, no problem.
And all of the topics that you've mentioned, you can use the search bar, because there are the resources. This particular landing page is just what's happened since the third week of March. Then we came home, and so all of these webinars have just happened in the last 2 months, 2 months. But
I appreciate Dr. Garcia and Dr. Johnson. I appreciate your lead. Let me get off so others can ask questions. But I truly appreciate you.
No problem. What district are you in again, Anthony? Was it Dallas?
There you go, Dallas ISD.
I remember Mavericks.
We've worked with
Spurs and Mavericks. I remember this.
Dallas ISD. I'm sorry, Dr. Johnson. You said what now?
We've worked with Dallas ISD before in a teacher training program that was bringing equity. Basically, we're doing diversity and equity.
I want to get off topic here. Well, anyway, but yes, you know the person that or people that you've connected with. So thank you very much.
No problem.
Sir. Yes, sir. Awesome. Well, our website is full of resources. I wanted to show briefly how we have different services for educators along the lines of STEM and beyond, right? So some of you are new teachers, maybe to, your subject area or things like that. We have many different opportunities to do project-based learning training where school-wide or even maybe within certain departments or grade level cohort teams, they begin implementing project-based learning and some other different frameworks, equity frameworks as well. So there's just a ton of resources that I wanted to make sure you saw, as well as I showed you earlier, our CSO program website as well.
Well, it's important because we would have shared, Anthony, I don't want you to feel bad because we would have shared this piece anyway.
Yeah.
Given our, everyone's current circumstances, that's why we're doing these webinars and putting out these weekly alerts to different pieces of information ranging from, again, policy to resources for teachers, parents, families, and the community. So this is something that we want to make sure that you are also aware of, that given our particular situation right now and the uncertainty of how we will be operating in the next several months, these are pieces that are really important for across education. So not just STEM, but for your school, for your community, for your families, and how to continue serving them during this time. So don't apologize. The problem is we know that there are inequities, and so even in STEM, so we want to make sure that you are aware of this set of resources as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Okay.
I have another quick question.
Yes. Hi, Sarah.
Hi. So just considering, that I'm an 8th grade teacher and I'm going to obviously pick 8th graders, what if the high school doesn't support the program? When they move on, will they still be able to continue with it, or is that just going to die with
Yeah, that's a
sorry.
great question. Yeah. So we kind of had a situation where one high school this year, their cohort of students just kind of, found out that, man, we have so many other clubs, and I think they chose students who were already in everything, right? And so they were kind of like, this is a lot, and I don't think this is for us, and so they withdrew from the program. And I was like, at first, no, because we have middle schoolers going to that high school. But, I met with the principal, and typically principals, when they know like the students are so invested and they're, showing so much growth, and that this is an opportunity for them to demonstrate their leadership. Once I meet with the principal and have those conversations, they're really willing to keep the program at their school. And we've seen some really great cross mentoring between feeder patterns. So, if the schools are quite small or the cohorts of CSOs are small, we can sometimes have an advisor kind of mentor students at the other campus as well, if they haven't been able to find an advisor at their campus. So I haven't had that happen yet, where principals are like, oh no. They've been really open to it. I think the biggest thing is finding an advisor for that student to work with at that campus. But
Right.
we've been able to make it work where, we were still able to kind of mentor and assign a different advisor for them. So especially, something to think about, and I don't know if I said it already, but, chief science officers is not just for K-12 settings. Like, it can also be in organizations, community organizations. So for example, we're working with the Girl Scouts right now in San Antonio, and there are many troop leaders that are excited about having their Girl Scouts girls as chief science officers, and we're working on getting a badge with Girl Scouts, so they would earn their their CSO badge in Girl Scouts program. Girls and Boys Club, they have cohorts of chief science officers. In the Valley, the Rio Grande Valley, we also have a group called Arise. It's a community organization, and there are students and families in that organization. They're going to have a small cohort of students. So their students are involved in that community organization are from different schools. And that's great. I mean, so there's a lot of ways in which we can adapt this program. And I just wanted to make sure I don't leave that unsaid, that there's really great opportunities for cohorts of CSOs to rise up in these other organization settings as well.
Okay, good point. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Great question. Awesome. Anyone else have any more questions?
I guess how do we invite these students if we're interested in them being part of this?
Right. Well, we have an invitation letter that you can send to the parent and the student. If you'd like, if you already have their, district email, you already have a relationship with that student or their parent, we have an invitation letter. So I can send that to you. I'll get with Christy, who has the registration list, and I'll get your email, Sarah, and I can send you that, and it'll have an explanation of the program, and it'll have like the requirements and roles, and it'll have like at the very bottom a way for them to accept the invitation to join this program, so that they have that formal letter before summer. And then in the beginning of the school year, we'll have a really clear plan of what our virtual leadership training institute will look like and what platform we're using. That's something that we have to totally flip, from a face-to-face experience that's usually a 2-day training, and to somehow a virtual experience, and we got to figure out how long it's going to be and all of that. So, but yeah, I think the best way to start is to get that student invitation into the hands of the students that you want to invite to join. and then get them kind of signed up so that when we kick off in the fall, we know who is going to the Leadership Training Institute virtually from Galveston.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll make sure to send that to you. I can send it to everyone as well in case you already want to start working on that. You just kind of download it and fill in their name. Awesome. Great question. Any other questions here? Trying to get back with the chat box.
Nothing in the chat box.
Okay. All right. Well, if that's it, we don't have to hang out here if there's no more questions. You have my email. You have Paula's email, it looks like. So you can email us. But I'm going to make sure I get your emails, and I'll email you quick links to all of our resources, our websites, everything we discussed today. I'll go ahead and attach the flyer. I'll make sure to attach the invitation if you've got students in mind. And I can create an advisor one as well. So if you want to invite somebody to be an advisor at your campus, I can go ahead and create something like that for you. Also, this was all recorded, I believe, I hope. Yeah, I think it was recorded. And so this will be something you can share later. You can come back to and revisit some of the things we talked about. And so you can share this within your network as well. Maybe you start at your campus, but maybe you know some fellow teacher friends at other campuses that would be interested. And you can share this out within your network and maybe get a good feeder pattern even started. It's really exciting when we do that because we can start to see the cross mentoring from our high school, middle school, and elementary, and the really great opportunities that exist just there within that feeder pattern. So it's really great. So thank you so much for joining. Again, I really appreciate your time this morning, and we'll be sure to reach out to you. And we're just so excited to start maybe in Victoria and Galveston in the fall, and any other sites here, Dallas ISD as well. Thank you so much again for your questions and engagement. Thank you, Paula, for joining us as well. All right, well, thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and end this webinar, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. This was
Have a
fun.
great day.
Have a great day. Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson, Dr. Garcia. You have a great day.
You
Be
too.
safe. Be safe. Thank you.
Let's see. Oh, good. It was recording. I didn't push record. So thank you, Paula.
All right. I'll see you in a little bit.
Yes.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye.